In this video, we are going to be talking about how not making any more excuses in your life can actually dramatically change what happens to you in the future. Hey guys, I'm Chaya Garcia, relationship expert, and I made myself a commitment to actually put into practice something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, which is sharing long form content. And this is my commitment to doing it every single day until January 1st, and we'll see what happens after that. Not making excuses in your life is how this video is coming to be. It is 10 o'clock at night. I usually am sleeping. I go to bed very early. I wake up very early. So when the kids are done going to sleep, I don't do any more work. I don't record. I don't do anything but go to bed. And then in the morning, I'm so interested in keeping myself peaceful as I enjoy my morning routines that I don't record. And I also am concerned that I'm going to wake up the kids in the morning to record. So I often don't get recordings in. Once they've fallen asleep after a very long day, I'm not as concerned as waking them up as in the morning when I know they're more naturally able to wake up. But I watched a really crazy video today of somebody who just said no more excuses. And that is how and why this video is for you. So I help women out of abusive relationships by either preventing them from happening or actually getting them out. Most of the time, it's the prevention of repeating the same patterns that they've done before, or just having them not repeat the cycle. So many of us make excuses as to why it's okay to go back. And I know that I'm not pumped up and it's 10 o'clock at night, so just bear with me because this is really important for you to hear. We all make a lot of excuses as to why it's okay to give somebody a second chance when they don't deserve it, as to why it's okay to go back in a relationship that was never really working in the first place. If the relationship is not working, it's not working. If you're really trying to make the relationship work, it's not working. The relationship is not working. A relationship that is working does not need to force it to work, to fight for it to work. So stop making excuses as to why it's okay to stay. There's so many different ways that I can frame this. But I speak to a lot of women all the time who are getting really, really addicted to the relationships that they're in. So much so that they don't even realize they're making all these excuses. And for me, I came to a place where I was making a lot of excuses for the relationship I'm in. And quite honestly, I make a lot of excuses for the relationship that I'm in now and my shitty behavior. And it's something that I really want to work on. I guess Cheshbon Nefesh, which is step 4 program, starts now. Let's talk about this. I make excuses for my poor behavior by easily blaming others, including my husband, for my reaction instead of taking full responsibility for my behavior and being super apologetic. And I think that comes from a place of either not loving myself enough that I can surrender to all my dark spots, or of feeling unsafe in the world. Without him, I'm not sure how I'd function, and just feeling unsteady in that idea. And so to be dominant and in control, I lash out, or I allow myself to lash out because it makes me test the waters of if he will or will not stay, or what will happen, or who's really in control. I'm not exactly sure where I'm going with this, but I wanted to process naturally with you that we all make so many excuses as to why we stay in relationships. as to why we allow negative behavior, as to why we allow ourselves to yell or scream or someone to yell or scream at us. And the truth of the matter is that it's just not acceptable. It's just not. And I'm not really sure what the remedy is. The remedy of how you go from making excuses to just being radical responsibility and calmness, because the truth is it takes time and it takes practice and it takes the right support system. I know for my main relationship that I talk about when I talk about addiction, it's like I needed a whole new environment. But, now that I'm happily married to a sober, stable man, like, what would my environment look like that I would change that wouldn't trigger me so much that my behavior would come out in a way that I'm not so proud of? And the truth of the matter is, like, I really don't take enough time for myself. And then I lash out on like my family or Adam, my husband, but it's not really like towards him, it's towards like the me that feels trapped, not in a marriage, but like not in a space where I don't always get to take care of me and do the things I need and I want. And my ego's pretty big. Like, like, I want to go for walks. I want time to myself. I want to exercise. I want peace and quiet. I want to break from not worrying about the kids, or I want to break from worrying about the kids. And like every time I don't get that, I don't have as much appreciation for what I do have, because I'm just like always upset that I'm not taking enough time for me. And there's like a balance, because I have a lot of time for me, but I'm always still wrapped up in Adam, or wrapped up in the kids, or wrapped up in my clients, or wrapped up in my business. And so, even though I feel like I have a lot of alone time because I'm like spoiled, like I'm in my house, I get to relax, I don't have to follow a schedule. That like feeling like, oh, I'm so spoiled because I don't have like a schedule that I'm forced to follow, is a delusion and an excuse that I also shouldn't take myself out for walks and in nature and give myself things that I enjoy. I think sometimes we think that we don't deserve to truly enjoy life if it's not productive. I'm going to say that again. I think sometimes in life we don't believe we're deserving of enjoying life if we don't consider it productive. And I really have that issue. Like, I have that excuse. Like, productivity, even if I'm not doing that much, if I'm sitting by my computer, if I'm working, if I'm cleaning the house, if I'm taking care of my kid, I am fucking productive, right? Like, I've got this. Like, I am important. I'm doing something. I'm meaningful. But if I just leave the house and go for a walk or exercise or take care of myself, like, it's not in the definition of productivity. And I know a lot of women and perfectionists and codependents have this issue of doing versus being, or being versus doing. Like, we feel a lot better when we're doing something, getting something done, versus just being in. And Marie Forley was speaking about how her productivity levels actually increased significantly when she started meditating, which is like waking up in the morning and not doing work, because she used to work like hard, 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 hard. And then it created a lot of issues in her relationships, in her physical body, her health. And now she talks about how she meditates for like 30 minutes to 60 minutes every morning, and she doesn't get anything done. And she uses that time to go into herself and focus on herself. And that's actually giving her clarity in her productivity. And she's able to execute much more faster and more effective because she took some time to go into herself to then give back to the world. But so many times, until we are like able to do that or forced to do that or like really committed to that, it doesn't feel good to like nurture ourselves all the time. Or like we have to like decide what nurturing is acceptable or not. Like, I'm happy to make myself food and sit for like 20 to 25 minutes eating my food slowly while I watch like AGT, and like I'm fine with that. But if I leave the house and I leave my desk and I leave my husband and I leave my kid, I feel guilty. And it's an excuse, because I would probably be so much nicer of a wife if I gave more to myself in a way where I can give more to him, and not just my time and energy and attention, because I give so much of that to him, but like my happy Chaya self, this self that like is so joyous and happy that I overflow with and give it to him. It's a really intense intention to want to be an overfloweth of joy to the people that you love, and how to delineate that versus I give them my time, I give them my attention, I'm with them, I make food, we make love, I help with the kids, I pick them up, I drop them off. Like, tick, 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 tick. I'm doing, like I'm good. Versus just an overfloweth of joy, which is like I took time for me alone and away from. I feel like I'm gonna wrap it up for this start. But for all the women who are in abusive relationships where you feel addicted to him, where you can't get out, or you don't want to, or like you don't want to be with anyone else, stop making excuses. I have an amazing marriage and there's still so much work I always need to do on myself to love me, because we're all in active relationship with ourselves. But I couldn't even have a remotely good marriage if I was with someone who wasn't sober and stable. I'm extraordinarily grateful and regretful for my poor behavior and grateful for my general life because my husband's so amazing. But I didn't always come from this. Came from so much drama and trauma, and sometimes I recreate that without knowing. But having a stable, sober, calm, healthy man is really the antidote. So if you've come from trauma, you don't need another man who's had trauma and understands you. If you're effed up, you are still so lovable. You don't need somebody who is going to be also effed up for it to be the right match. And if you feel like what you've gone through made you a little less than, I want you to know that you are 100% effed up and 100% lovable. On that note, if you're interested in learning more about addictive relationships and how to believe you're 100% lovable, click the next one coming up now. Take care.